Hello YouTube, this week we're going to be going over factions. It's a UO Outlands mechanic, kind of like capture the flag with a few more steps built in. It's designed primarily around PvP, so it's a great way for you to learn how to do PvP if you're a new person to PvP or new to the server. But also, even if you're not a proponent to players killing other players, I go over some methods in here for you to participate in factions without actually killing anybody else or being killed by other players, in theory. Most of the time it works out. I have died a few times in my non-PvP method, but again, because of how you do it, you don't lose that much. So let's hop right in with why to do factions. You do it primarily to learn how to get better at the PvP aspect, but also it's a great way to earn money. Great way to earn money. At recording this video in Outlands Discord, it says faction silver is going for 85 gold per silver. So for 1,000 silver, you'd get 85,000 gold. So that's why I include in here, if you don't want to do the PvP, but you still want that faction silver to trade for gold or, aspect triumph, I have methods in here. So let's hop straight in first with the builds. This first one is a great one for for the non-PvP method. It's inscription, wrestling, meditation, tracking, spirit speak, magic resist, and magery. Now, because you're using all scrolls with the inscription, you only need 80 magery because using a scroll gives you a 20% benefit, which brings you at 100 magery basically. The spirit speak is to keep summons around you so that you look more intimidating. Your plan is to recall as soon as you're able to, though. That's why it's only at 80 spirit speak. You're not trying to do damage. You're trying to either kill mobs in the faction dungeons and get away, or you're trying to take the waypoints and get away. You're trying to look intimidating. This isn't about actual combat necessarily. You can do high damage with this and control the waypoints with this build. However, you can also get away pretty easily with this build. The inscription at 120 means that you have a high chance to get that second magic resist off, where they cast their magic arrow, and then due to inscription, your magic reflect will automatically rearm itself at no cost to you. And if they do magic arrow explosion, you have a high chance to kill them. But again, you can also just get away if you want to. Another build I run, and this one I run primarily in the faction dungeon, is this one. It's my poisoner. And again, I'm just worried about killing the mobs in the faction dungeon with this build. Now, it has taken down a few players, but again, this build that I'm trying to show you is mainly to kill the mob around and survive. That's why the magic resist and healing, again, just trying to survive. It's not specifically for players, but it has that player killing potential. Now, for actual builds, if you want to get in the PvP aspect, here are some general ones from the website. Archery is very big, for securing the kills at the end. You do your magic dump and then you just arrow them down, interrupting spells if possible with your small spells. But these templates, just the generic ones from the wiki, and these are what I use to create the template I run the most factions with, which is Sunshine Attack here. And he's geared for high survivability. That's why I have the alchemy, healing, magic resist. But he also, because the alchemy can do a lot of burst, telekinesis, explosion, explosion pot, explosion, and then interrupts. Very big burst mage. Now, I built this burst mage so I could understand how they're doing the burst, so I can counter it when I'm on my PVM characters. So far I haven't successfully mastered the burst in order to know how to counter the burst. But I digress. Anyways, this Sunshine Attack I never take into the dungeons to do any of the faction mobs with, because I didn't really gear him in mind of the faction dungeon. He's mainly for the waypoints and carrying the flag. And then we're first gonna go into the faction dungeon because it's the best place for the non-PvPers to get their faction points. You port into this faction dungeon, as you'll see, and you're just looking for mobs to kill. You are not looking for other players. If you see other players, you can recall out. Now, as you see now, you can only successfully cast recall 5 times in this faction dungeon. So, with that being said, only 5 chances. So, if you port in, then port out because there's instantly a person, you already lost a charge. It doesn't matter that you did nothing while in there. If you recall out, it's still a success. But the primary purpose is to find mobs like paragons, but not as difficult. And they'll increase your faction score. The harder the mob, the greater the faction score they'll reward. And it's just a great way for the non-PvP people to get faction silver without actually participating in the PvP. And this now, is why while in here, is good PvP for it. Is enabled, so you can totally bring somebody down here to kill the other players. A lot of people I've seen run stealthers in here because tracking is disabled in this dungeon. See, just faction points. No tracking, stealthers OP at getting the faction scores. Aspect and all that works in here, so it's very hard to track the stealthers unless somebody's running into detect hidden, which why are you running that on a PvPer? But again, tangents. Just be aware of your recall limit on difficulty of mob. It lets you know, so just be aware. Because you can still exit a dungeon, you just have to run out the front like this. Now, getting back to the actual factioning. How it works is there's 3 waypoints in between your faction and whatever faction. We'll say Previn and Andaria. There's 3 places in between Previn and Andaria to which you need to capture. You need to capture the farmland garrison, the gate fortress, and then the Andarian lumberyard. After that happens, you can steal the Andarian flag. However, if Andaria's flag's at Cambria, you have to make sure you have all of Andaria's waypoints and all of Cambria's waypoints before you can take the Andaria flag. Now, that being said, for those who just want to do the non-PvP method, what you do is you mark your rune books right next to the point, like off of the point, but right next to it. And you'll have to do some RNG. For me, it's when I first wake up or right before I go to bed. If I log on right then and go to any waypoints, whether it be 6 or 16, that isn't captured, I can just go and sit, and most of the time I don't run into any people, and I get 150 faction score for just waking up, logging on, and going there. Now, that doesn't mean that other players won't show up and attack you, but if you just go for these waypoints, you can do 2 a day for 5 days, and you'd have a faction score of 300, 6, 12, 15. You have a 1500 faction score, which I'll break into how that goes into the silver later. But that's pretty good for just logging on, going somewhere, sitting there for 4 minutes. It takes 4 minutes to capture a waypoint uncontested. 2 minutes to turn it to neutral, 2 minutes to actually capture it. So for those 4 minutes, you just have to sit there. And I always make sure when picking waypoints to just go and sit, not even really watching. What I do is I look for people who don't have the flag. Like if Cambria stole a flag last, I'm not trying for Cambria waypoints. I'll try for Terran waypoints because Terran may be going for the flag, but they're more worried about Cambria than they are me. And then if Terran shows up, then I'll just go try Andaria. I'll go to the farmland garrison and just sit there. Not too exciting, but free silver leads to free gold. Another thing about the waypoints is if you're battling on them, it doesn't transfer. So if Andaria is trying to capture the waypoint and Prev Us is defending it, as long as we're on it, they can't progress any more towards capturing it. It shows the little daggers on it. And no progression goes. You have to turn it to neutral and then turn it to
good PvP
your
practice.
faction's color in order to progress to the next waypoint. And you do all that in order to get to their castle, break down their doors, and then if you're playing it risky as the non-PvP method, you can go to Cambria, get all 3 waypoints, break down the doors.
Run,
again,
Otto,
if you see anybody at any
run.
point just running. But I have personally captured all 3 waypoints to Cambria, broken down the doors, captured the flag, ran it to Demon Keep, and then ran it all the way to Andaria, all by myself with no one on. Now this was 3 a.m. my time, so nobody was on participating in factions. However, it was a nice little boost for my faction silver, just because I happened to be on at 3 a.m. and willing to do the 20-minute long horse ride. That's the part of this that takes the most time, the horse ride carrying the flags, because you have to carry it from whoever captured it to Demon Keep. You have to purify it for 2 minutes at Demon Keep, and then take it to your faction. And you can't recall, you can't use anything special to get out of it. You just, it's done. You have to run it. And it's a long run, and I'm gonna be posting some shorts throughout next week, throughout routes for ease, to ease people's pathing, because I know a lot of people get lost. Hopefully these paths that I'm showing you will help you get there faster than your teammates, or at least not get lost. And when you are carrying the flag, make sure you have the health bar pulled of whoever's carrying the flag. Be it you need to have a greater heal up at all times, or somebody around you. Just, you have to survive. So make sure, if you're not the flag carrier, that's the only health bar you make sure to grab. Because if you get almost to your castle after Purified and somebody else steals your flag, you don't get any of those points from all the effort you just did. Your flag has to hit the throne room and be capped for you to get your points. So it's very important. Keep the flag carrier healthy. And if you're doing it by yourself late at night, good luck to you. I've seen it done. I've done it once, but it's very scary. And then finally, why? Why? What's so important? Why do factions? Why have they buffed it so much and done so much effort into it in UO Outlands? And it's because at 500 points, every 500 faction points actually, you get a battle commodity, because they want people to participate. So battle commodities, you can trade for 2,500 gold or a random rare item. And I always do the rare items, but you can also sell them. And then on top of getting those battle commodities every 500 faction score, you also get faction silver. And as seen on screen here, this is how it's calculated. You get a minimum. That minimum will help you progress. And aspect triumphs. You always earn more progression towards it. The aspect triumph. Even if you spend your silver. So it's not worth it. I mean, so even if you are handing out the selling the silver to other players, you can still pocket the aspect triumphs, or vice versa. You can pocket all the silver and just sell the aspect triumphs and make money doing this. Because in order to kit up, it takes what, 500 gold maybe, if you're running an expensive kit. And then an aspect triumph sells for 400. Aspect triumphs sell for 400k. So to wrap it up, you get battle commodities, faction silver, and aspect triumphs, which independently build on each other. So you'll get like 4 battle commodities for every 1,000 silver you get. And then for every 6,000 silver you get this aspect triumph. All that adds up, and it's just because you wanted to learn PvP. So, great opportunity. I think it's an amazing mechanic that UO Outlands has added. Thank you for tuning in. If you like the video, please drop a like. If you like this content, please sub down below. And if you didn't like the content, please complain down below so I at least know how to make it better. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great rest of your day.